Alright, let's do the limited monthly illusory tower stage 3 again, and this time I'm gonna show you guys a strat without using Hollow Purple Gojo, and instead it's going to be the classic Mojito store strategy after you're using Blue Gojo to wipe out the two side mob. So the strategy itself is pretty simple. However, this stage is definitely one of the harder Mojito store strategies to pull off, purely because I guess first of all there are two checkpoints. One, your blue Gojo need to be strong enough to help you to kill off the two side mobs, and then the second thing is this enemy actually does continuous flame damage, which is quite annoying because first of all damage over time in this game is able to bypass damage reduction buffs. So that's kind of why you don't see me playing Toga here, because Toga's damage reduction wouldn't do much here. However, your Hanami's damage reduction debuff would still work to reduce the amount of damage you would taken, because the continuous damage is still scaling off the enemy's attack. So this still works. However, because Hanami is naturally weak against fire, so Hanami will still end up taking a lot of damage nonetheless. And also because a blue Gojo would be on the field for 7 turns, your Shoko can't really come in with this healing reflection till later on. So you kind of need to find a way to actually survive long enough for Shoko to come in. And then even after Shoko come in, you kind of need your Hanami to continuously apply your damage reduction debuff just so that you don't actually die from all of the damage over time, etc. So that's kind of the two main checkpoints. Okay, now basically there's like one recollection which is going to make things a lot easier, which is basically this one. And the reason why this one is super important, well, like I won't say it's mandatory, but it helps on both of the checkpoint, because one, this one have the active ability where you're actually able to recover HP. So that actually helps Hanami to stay alive longer, which is definitely needed. And then the second thing is it also have this passive ability, which is able to increase 25% damage dealt to all of your allies. And that's basically what allows my blue Gojo to do enough damage to wipe out the mobs in combination with Mahito's ultimate attack to wipe them out with only him being at dupe 2. So that's kind of why this regression is super important. Now, if you don't happen to have this reflection, then just replace it with anything else which can recover HP over time. I think that would also work. Now, then the question becomes whether your blue Gojo is actually enough to kill off the two side mobs, being whatever dupe he is. Now you can see my skill level here is like level 10 buff and level 10 ult as well. So he's definitely highly invested, and I tried using attempting this without this recollection, and I always left it with like 1% HP remaining, which sometimes is okay, sometimes it's not, depending on what that enemy do the suck away curse energy to recover his HP. Like if he doesn't do that attack, I'm gonna finish him off with Mojito afterwards. But if it does, then it's kind of I need to restart again. So that's kind of why I feel like Dupe 2 is kind of borderline okay-ish. Now if you're blue gold just dupe 1, I think this reflection can still help you to kill them off. If your blue gold just dupe 0, I think you may have to go for a crit in order to actually wipe out the side mobs. And if you are actually doing it that way, trying to go for crit, there's one trick I'm going to tell you guys, which is basically when you use Mojito's domain expansion, you should always aim it at the enemy on the left hand side. And that is because when Kaito and Blue Gojo do their combo attack together, ideal scenario is that you need to land a crit on either one of them. And if Blue Gojo is already able to crit on the one on the left, then what's going to happen is Mojito's targeting is going to automatically move them to the enemy on the right. So basically, if you force your Mojito to always choose the side mob which is on the left hand side, then that basically means no matter which one of the mobs you crit, you are always able to then kill it off with Mojito's ultimate attack on the second attack. So that's basically the way you want to do. So always aim for the left enemy with Mojito, and then afterwards, yeah, either depending on whether you have this recollection to actually help you to finish them in one go. Otherwise, you may have to try and reset for a crit. But other than that, the rest of the strategy is pretty much as a simple Mojito store strategy. I do have this recollection on Kaito in order to increase his curse energy. Any recollection which is able to increase curse energy is fine. It doesn't have to be this one. It can also be a slight gap. It can be curse and bubbles. It can also be the one from Junpei's banner, the one that's in standard pool right now. Either one of those, which is able to recover curse energy, would be nice. That's just to ensure that your Hanami is almost always able to stack his debuff like back to back in order to minimize the amount of damage you take. And then once you are able to do all of that, Shoko actually comes into battle, you don't have the ability to actually AoE heal your whole team, which is basically what helps you to keep your Mahito alive. And also, whenever you try to do combo attack, you always try to do a combo attack between Kaito and also Shoko to make sure they, if you take a look at Shoko's combo attack, you can see it actually recovered 20 curse energy. So that's another way of keeping your Kaito's curse energy always high. And then obviously, when you actually combo attack with Mahito and Hanami, because Mahito moves in front of Hanami, you allow Hanami to override Mahito's domain expansion, and that basically saves you a few turns. And you will see I'm able to actually beat the stage in less than 30 turns with a store team, which is actually quite nice.